Wow, where do I start? First of all, I'm the CEO of Casava and we do insurance. So that already tells you a lot. Insurance is challenging. But more importantly is the fact that at the leadership level, you have to make decisions, strategic decisions. And some decisions can be subjective. Some obviously can be based on data or based on historical information. But most importantly, you have to make decisions that is right for the company. And yes, fortunately, we have a board and a very, very supportive board. But having that external support system that can really walk through the challenge that you may have and the opportunity is something that was missing. So our biggest challenge is just having that feedback based on certain information to be able to walk through a potential challenge. And I'm going to give a simple example. We needed to bolster our leadership team, and it was highly unlikely we could hire many people at the same time. We needed a chief commercial officer. We also needed a chief operating officer. People at the management level that will support the work that I'm doing. Who should we hire first and why? That was $1 million question that we couldn't answer. Zer came with a very unique approach towards consulting with us. It was more of an in-depth, very authentic way of understanding the company. And you know, the company is made up of people. The chief executive officer of the company, the team members who may be team leads or heads of departments, and of course, you know, the people, everyone else in the company. And they came with the approach of really understanding the complexities of the people in the company, as well as understanding the business model and the inherent mission that really bonds the company together. Like, why do we exist? In doing so, they really asked the right questions that led us to the answers of how to solve the challenges that we have. In this case, the first challenge we had is making a decision on if we should hire a chief commercial officer first or the chief operating officer. So that's what they did. In essence, we made the decision ourselves with them helping us to make that decision. Listening, that's the first thing they did. They just sat down with us and they listened. They asked a deep, like a ton of questions to understand where we are in the company, what we are trying to do, where we're trying to go. And then of course, ask questions with respect to what we believed were our challenges. And you'll be surprised that with further prodding, we realized that the challenges that we had were not the root cause or the root challenges. We had other challenges that we needed to deal with first and address first. In listening, they also encouraged us to do certain workshops internally to really get to the root issues. And with that, we were able to immediately determine that for now, the initial need is somebody that can generate revenue, at least to kickstart, or rather to build on the revenue that we're already generating. And that person will be the chief commercial officer. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we were able to recruit our chief commercial officer after a whole 3-month process, interviewing, shortlisting, and re-interviewing potential candidates. But I want to also go deeper into what I would say Zer brought to the table. They look at their clients from not just a local perspective, but also a global perspective. How can we succeed in our local market? But how can we also build the foundations for a potentially globally successful company? And in doing so, they were able to make some suggestions on what we can do in the short term and how we can start building for the long term for a successful company. And what we realized is, let's bring in, you know, a chief commercial officer. Let's work on our high level mission and purpose, telling the story very clearly to our team members and our stakeholders like our investors and our board members to really get people fully aligned, including the chief commercial officer coming in going forward. So I thought that was really profound in their work. Oh man, there's been quite a number of things that, and a number of situations where they're putting that extra time or that support. I think more than anything, what you're looking for in a vendor or service provider or partner is that they care, and they actually care deeply about the success of the business and the mission itself. And a good example is we have our sales and marketing team who, as you know, do marketing activities. And one of those activities is what you call a partner experience. And this partner experience is we bring in our strategic partners and clients to our office, invite them over, of course, get them fed, but also thank them for trusting in us through the year. And we also bring in our prospective partners to showcase, first of all, this is what we've done this year. This is how we can be valuable, and this is what we plan to do next year. And when we mentioned it to the team at Zer, led by Adewumi-Zer, it was all hands on deck. Okay, how can we help? How can we support you? How do we communicate with our potential clients? How do we bring in our current clients? How can we put a plan in place so that the event is actually quite compelling and successful? And they did that, and that wasn't necessarily what they needed to do. That was not the quote-unquote job description that we brought in. And I'm proud to say that Zer contributed, participated, supported, and enabled some of our potential partners. And we're actually closing some of these transactions as we speak. And that's just an example. And so I think, to summarize what we experience as a company with respect to Zer, is a company that actually truly cares about Casava's mission. Very good question. And I would say that first things first, let's talk about what's going on right now. The next 10 years is going to be a resurgence of Nigeria's entrepreneurial excellence. We're going to see more entrepreneurs, we're going to see more businesses. And the hope and the expectation is that a lot of these businesses will find success, not just in the local market, but also the African and global market. Zer's mission of building the next generation of African successful businesses and African leaders is quite, I'll say, unique. It's quite compelling, and it's also very profound. And I think that the approach, the framework for Zer, curating and engaging with strategic institutions, businesses that have that potential for success, for African success and African excellence, is what really sets them apart, and how they engage with these companies to be successful. In addition, the managing partner and the team members have a vast amount of experience, not just in the local market, but on the global space, involved in financial services and mergers and acquisitions across Africa, which brings quite a unique and compelling perspective. I'll tell an interesting story. I got a call from one of the team members as Zer, inviting me to join other clients in celebrating Zer's 1-year anniversary. Of course, I was quite happy to do so. But first of all, what I did notice and take note of specifically was how we were invited. I was reached out, the communication was really good. There was a lot of excitement. And during the actual 1-year anniversary event, which was remote, it wasn't your run-of-the-mill traditional event. It was a very interactive event organized by the team Zer, which includes the employees and also the advisors of Zer, and it was quite exciting. And I would say that I was quite pleased with the results. I was a co-winner in one of the games. So I think, to summarize, I believe that a successful business starts with the team that actually cares about the mission of the company. And I see Zer's team as a group of people that care about not just the mission of Zer, but the client's success, in this case, Casava. I will recommend, although the truth is that there are a lot of businesses that already want or are asking for Zer services. I will say that Zer has been very impactful to Casava, and we're very thankful. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There are a lot of successful or soon to be successful businesses that would require Zer services, and definitely I would be able to share more about that. I would recommend Zer to businesses. I think it's more encouragement rather than feedback. I would say continue to grow, stay true to the mission, focus on shared values, keep your clients, including Casava. I think that my encouragement is that keep going, as opposed to feedback. Thank you.